An oil pipeline began more than 50 years ago. Now the Trump administration is pushing for a nat gas pipeline right alongside that would export U.S. natural gas to parts of Asia. Brian Sullivan is on the ground in Prudhoe Bay, Alaska, and he's now joined by Energy Secretary Chris Wright. Welcome to both of you. Brian, take it away.
Kelly and Dom, thank you very much. Yeah, as we said earlier, that is mile marker zero. This is the beginning of the famed Alaska oil pipeline, but we have, for the first time ever in Alaska history, 3 sitting members of cabinet, all in the, not just in the state, but up here at the same time. We're joined now by Secretary of Energy Christopher Wright as well. Secretary, thank you very much for having us here on this trip. It's really eye-opening in many, many ways. Let's talk about the Alaska potential LNG pipeline.
You bet.
40 plus whatever $1 billion project. You're confident it will get built. Why?
Natural gas is the fastest growing energy source on the planet. It has been for the last 15 years. It's 40% of the growth in energy. So demand for natural gas is simply huge. Alaska has a great oil pipeline and a huge amount of natural gas, but no way to transport the natural gas. We've already got the right-of-way along the oil pipeline. We lay essentially a twin pipeline down through Alaska, LNG export terminal in southern Alaska, 6-day sail to Japan, to Korea, another day or so to Taiwan. So I think it's a tremendous opportunity to have natural gas leaving from the west coast of the United States and very close to our Asian allies.
So over your left shoulder, Alex, we could show that there. They're actually burning the gas off because they don't have a use for it. They'll put some in the ground. That's literally just burning money. We get that. But at 40 plus billion, some of the industry insiders I've talked to said, gosh, this has been on the table for decades. It's just really hard to justify the economics. How do we justify the economics of this $38 to $44 billion pipeline?
Well, because there's multiple pieces to it. One of the other challenges in Alaska, think of, Anchorage and Fairbanks, the population centers, they're actually running out of energy. Expensive energy costs in Alaska have been pushing population out of the state and reducing industry. So the immediate use of this natural gas pipeline is going to be to power Alaskans. Mines and commercial business here, bring data center, bring industry to Alaska. So Alaskans benefit as well as the export project. But demand for natural gas is growing fast, and geopolitical concerns are growing. So it's a uniquely located asset where you're taking just through a U.S. sea lane along the Aleutian Island chain to our neighbors in Asia. Of course the math has to work. That takes engineering, that takes innovation. But the biggest capital by far is liquefaction trains. They're the same whether you're building them in Louisiana or Alaska. Only the pipeline is the special part of this project, but already got a right of way.
So you're confident that down in by the water, because the pipeline would basically, this is the start of the oil pipeline here, kind of follow the same route till the very end, and then oil goes this way and gas goes this way. They need to build that liquefaction facility in Nikiski, down by south of Anchorage. Are you confident you can get a buyer or a backer? Because the Conocos, the Exxons, the others of the world, they have not committed their capital yet.
Yes, the key thing is offtakers. If you have customers for the gas,
Japan, Taiwan, Thailand.
Exactly. The geographically advantaged locations to be offtakers of this, a number of them are here. We have people from Taiwan, from Korea, from the Philippines that have traveled with us to this trip right now. Oh, I think the interest in that is tremendous. If you get the commercial offtakers for the gas, financing is pretty straightforward.
Are tariffs a part of that? Because there's a lot of questions in the courts about what the future tariffs may be. Do tariffs play into the ability of a Japan or a Korea to purchase enough gas to give the final investment decision to fund the pipeline?
I don't think tariffs are a huge part of the conversation, but of course there's countries around the world looking to shrink their trade deficit with the United States. And of course a very easy way to do that is to buy more American energy.
Now they're here. There's also a meeting tomorrow in Anchorage, Alaska. I know it's the beginning of a conference. I assume you and potentially Secretary Burgum will be meeting with some of these potential buyers, primarily Asian buyers. What has been their level of interest so far?
Oh, quite. Their biggest interest is, what's the timing? What's the logistics? When does it come on? Nobody has any doubt about their desire to buy more natural gas. Again, fastest growing energy source in the world. Better to buy it from the United States. Some of them have Russian gas contracts from the Sakhalin, also near the Asian area. No one's signing new contracts from Russian gas, but those contracts will roll down. And of course, they all want to fill that with American gas. So the questions are more just about the logistics. What's the time of the pipeline? When would delivery start?
I know you guys are giving your talks, so you couldn't hear what I said, but it's like you read my mind because we actually talked about the Alaska purchase. I mean, $7 million in 1867 looks like a pretty good deal now. But Russia, and we've told this story on CNBC for a few years, Russia's exporting record amounts of LNG. I mean, Russia is making a lot of money selling natural gas around the world, a lot of that to Europe, but some of it to Asia as well. How much could this pipeline sort of eliminate the need for partners, for Japan, Taiwan, et cetera, to buy gas from Russia and buy it from the United States instead? Because I think we all agree we don't want Russia to profit right now.
Oh, yeah. This pipeline itself is probably roughly equal to 40% of Russian LNG sales today. Just this project would displace a good chunk of Russian LNG, liquefied natural gas exports. But absolutely, the United States can fill the gap of the entire Russian exports. But that hasn't happened yet. That hasn't happened yet. Russia is still the third biggest supplier of natural gas to Europe. The place mostly desiring
through LNG. They've got a pipeline through Turkey. Obviously, the Nord Stream 2 is out of line, but the pipeline through Turkey is still running. In fact, that's accelerating. This LNG story, it doesn't get a lot of attention. We've tried to tell the story on CNBC, but Russia sells many, many shiploads of natural gas. If this gets done, you're talking about one LNG shipload roughly per day, right? I think that's about the number. Theoretically, when could the first shipload go out? If this were to all start tomorrow?
That's that engineering challenge that we're working on. I think we can get gas to southern Alaska, maybe in 3 or 4 years from now. The LNG is probably a couple years after that. But that requires, quick engineering and the capital raising, I think, won't be a problem. But we need to unleash American energy again. Things move very slow under the Biden administration. We need to make them move fast under the Trump administration.
Well, there was certainly some commentary about the previous administration. I don't want to bring the world of politics into it. But Willow, we're here. ConocoPhillips is a part owner of this facility. Willow, their big oil project, did get approval under the first Trump administration, but it was allowed to progress under the Biden administration. They took a lot of heat for that, to be honest with you. A lot of people, environmentalists, said, no, this is absolute disgrace. So will it stand at 170,000 barrels a day if Conoco gets done, or can it expand and even do more barrels from that? Because the pipeline has actually gone down since 1980.
It has. And that's another great story about unleashing Alaskan energy. There's been two huge conventional oil discoveries in the last 20 years. One of them is offshore Guyana that everyone knows about. First well drilled in 2015. The other is the Pikka discovery up here in Alaska. Willow is part of that. There is a dozen fields that could be produced from this Pikka formation. 1 million barrels a day of production could come from Pikka. And the first discovery well there was drilled in 2013, 2 years before the Guyana offshore discovery. They're producing 600,000 barrels a day, soon 1 million barrels a day. Not one barrel of Pikka oil yet has flown to the marketplace. That's going to start with Willow, but that's crazy. 100 miles offshore Guyana can bring on oil faster than the North Slope of Alaska. We got to get our act together.
It is warm there. I will say it's not warm here. And that's, of course, Guyana is Exxon, Chevron, and Hess, and there's a little bit of a lawsuit action. Here you've got Conoco, you've got Hillcorp, which is private, you've got Marathon Petroleum down in the Nikiski, you got ExxonMobil as well. I'm sure your office and you personally are in communication with Darren Woods, their CEO, Ryan Lance, CEO of ConocoPhillips. Are you discussing with them actively what their economic plans are with the pipeline?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Quite regularly, in fact. Quite regularly, in fact. They all have great resources up here. It's just Alaska's been so slow, so hard to operate in, mostly because this federal overreach and overstretch. They are all keen to see a liberation of Alaska. I'll tell you, the local Inupiaq people, they're the most motivated to see economic activity and opportunity for them get unleashed again. These are their lands.
We heard from some of them last night. I know we got some local representatives here as well. Secretary of Energy, put on some gloves. I mean, it's below, I think it's below zero, and this is spring. These are tough people doing hard jobs, and we really appreciate it. And coming up